Good evening, one and all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. Welcome to the Piledriver Podcast. It's that time of the week again already on a Sunday, where we talk all things wrestling, past, present, and future. Little disclaimer before we go any further. There may be some language or content used in these podcasts that some people may find offensive. So there is all the T's and C's done and dusted. However, Gav, it's going to be a bit of a quieter one tonight because the Heartbreak Yid is not with us. Gav, how are you doing?
It's a lot quieter without him.
It is a lot quieter.
Feels rather weird.
Yes, so Phil, thankfully, won't be giving us a guided tour of his bathroom like he has done in previous weeks. But Phil, enjoy the night. I know you're out celebrating with family, and we look forward to having you back on next week's show. So, Gav, kick us off then. What has been the main news or talking points this week in the world of wrestling?
Well, apparently it's SummerSlam tonight.
Yes. What a tagline that is.
Apparently it is.
Yes.
You won't see it coming. I won't see it at all because I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to skip to the severely edited, in inverted commas, highlights of that one. Are there any matches at all on there, Gav, that you find slightly interesting at all?
I want to see what they can do with Dominic Mysterio. He hasn't really had a match yet. So
this is his first match, isn't it? This is his actual first sanctioned match, a pay-per-view. So not a bad way to kick off your wrestling career, to get your first match in at SummerSlam. But there was an interview I read today with Seth Rollins did earlier in the week, and saying what the last year's been like, last 12 months since he beat Brock Lesnar, got the title, and then obviously the heel turn as well, which links us nicely on to what we're going to discuss later. And he's also said about how he still regards Rey Mysterio as a wrestler, still top of his game, and he's very, very interested to see if he can get, quote, Dominic up to his level or somewhere near it with tonight's match. Anything else on SummerSlam that's piqued your interest ever so slightly?
I don't mind Strowman against Bray Wyatt. Well,
yeah.
Not really Strowman, but Wyatt. He's their guy at the moment.
He is, isn't he? He is flying the flag, isn't he? Especially for SmackDown. Because obviously there's no updates as yet as to when Roman Reigns is going to be making a return. Obviously, he's self-isolating due to COVID. Obviously, because it wasn't that long since his recovery again from leukemia. So Bray Wyatt's still doing a good job. Slightly cheesy this week on SmackDown when he came out the ambulance as the Fiend, but Bray Wyatt is the only thing worth watching, in my opinion, at the moment on SmackDown currently. I think everything else is a very, very distant second best.
Yeah, there's nothing happening. There's stories that last a week. You get 2 shows out of them, then it's right. We dropped it. We're bored of it already.
Yeah,
nothing lasts.
Yeah, and it just seems to disappear like that, doesn't it?
The only thing that's keeping them going at the moment, really, is the women's division.
I totally agree. I was gonna say that the women's division is really strong in it on SmackDown and Raw. It's more interesting than watching any of the blokes at the moment. So yeah, I totally agree. You've got a lot going on with Shayna Baszler. You've got Bayley and Sasha, Asuka, all doing really, really well week in, week out. And even the tag division in the women's SmackDown and Raw is really strong at the moment. So, yeah, well, I suppose in any industry, when one door closes, another one opens. So hopefully the women will be able to make a really, really good go of it and give us a few good matches tonight on SmackDown on SummerSlam.
on SmackDown.
On SmackDown.
It doesn't feel like a pay-per-view. It just feels like another episode to it.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. But I'll be interested to see how, like you said, the Wyatt match pans out. Other than that, I'm not that fussed. Least of all, anything to do with Randy Orton. Randy versus Drew. Just all kinds of boring.
The WWE Championship's been relegated to the first real match apart from the Tag Team Championship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not a championship. It's one of the many belts they don't need.
Yeah. And I just feel a bit bad for Drew McIntyre because he has deserved to get the push where he has. He's had to fight really, really hard to get back into the top, into the main sort of spotlight in WWE, and I just think it's just come at the wrong time for him. I think had there been crowds there, he'd be getting massive pops week in, week out. But
you don't win a title on YouTube, basically.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And I've just got a feeling that he'll end up dropping the title before fans are allowed to come back in. But we shall see how SummerSlam pans out. Any other stories this week that have sort of made you cringe, got you excited about the future of wrestling, or anything that's just sort of hit you out of left field?
We've got to talk about the Thunderdome.
Oh my days! Yeah.
It's a bunch of TV screens.
Yeah, just kick us off with the Thunderdome, Gav, for anybody who has been avoiding SmackDown more than what they have done COVID.
Well, it was a good film in 1985.
Starring Tina Turner.
Yeah, singing the theme tune, starring in it.
Yeah, that's right.
What more can you want?
with Melanie Gibson. Yeah.
And directed by George Miller, of all people.
I know, yeah.
Who also went on to direct Happy Feet.
Yeah,
that's talent.
That's a change, that, isn't it? That's a change.
Went from Tina Turner to Penguins.
I know, that's it. Yeah, what a repertoire.
Stepping up in the world.
So SmackDown tried this new thing, then, Gav. Give us an explanation of what it was they were trying to do this week.
They were trying to make it less boring, but they basically shoved a load of TV screens around the room instead of their own talent. There was at least 3 people, I think, that were caught sleeping on stream.
Yeah,
and one person in an AEW shirt.
Yeah, oh, that was gold. And at one point as well, I think it was during the part where Retribution came in, and I don't know if this was part of the actual show when Retribution invaded, but all the screens just went off with the fans on there as well. So I don't know if that was part of the script or
it's because they're playing with the generator that powers the building for some reason.
Oh, that's right. The diesel-powered generator that keeps SmackDown going live. Yeah, fantastic. I think we're also going to mention as well, very controversial piece of news as well that you shared with myself and Phil earlier this week regarding Velveteen Dream. Apparently, he's been given the green light to come back to, is it NXT?
Does it really matter which one it is anymore? There's no set shows anymore.
No, I don't think it does matter at all. So for those who haven't been aware, Velveteen Dream, correct me if I'm wrong, Gav, was suspended due to trading illicit images with underage girls on the internet. Is that right? Have I got that right?
That's what it's alleged to do. I can't say that he did it because
we'll
get our asses sued.
Absolutely, yeah.
I can't
yeah, you and me both. So it's all alleged at the moment, Anyway, as far as we're led to believe, the matter is still ongoing, but WWE have allegedly given the green light to come back in. So it'll be interesting the sort of reaction that gets, I think, across the world of wrestling. Especially our wrestling fans as well.
Apparently as well, and after the show last night, the NXT takeover, which is just generic pay-per-view now. Used to be good, now it's just Triple H apparently said nothing more needs to be said about it.
Really?
So they must have really good evidence it didn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you know what? Let's put it out there as well. If he is completely innocent of this, then fair play. He should be allowed back, and he should be allowed to earn a living, and and it shouldn't stay with him. Obviously, this has come on in recent months. There's been a lot of scandal with Impact stars, WWE stars, and also AEW stars as well as, to name a few. Even Ring of Honor have had athletes that have been suspended for various sort of things to do with just inappropriate sexual behaviour.
Dickheadery.
Yeah, absolutely. Dickheadery, massively. So we'll watch this space, and like you say, if he is completely innocent, Velveteen Dream, fair play. If not, well, just watch this space and see where that ends. Any other news, Gav, before we go on to tonight's main topic?
Tommaso Ciampa is finally coming back to NXT, which, well, he's coming back yet, but it's a massive win for them because he's one of the best stars.
Absolutely, he's a huge star. He's an absolutely huge star, and rumours as well that is he part of Retribution? It's rumoured that there are some of the bigger names on NXT are allegedly part of the new stable Retribution as well. But whether he's
the Miz as well.
Yes, that's right. But yeah, great to see him back because he's NXT have missed him massively. So yeah, onwards and upwards. Tonight's theme, Gav.
Oh, but one last bit of news. There's been a match announced for All Out.
Yes.
The 3rd or 5th September?
Yeah, it is. It is September the 3rd.
3rd, it'll be, yeah. Thursday. I'm losing track of time.
That's okay.
I've got to try and say this properly because I'll probably mispronounce it. Mimosa Mayhem match between Orange Cassidy and Jericho.
Yes, excellent. So,
bit of the bubbly against a bit of the orange.
That's right, a bit of bubbly against the orange. So, all we can say to that is basically,
could say that indeed.
Because if anything, the last two matches that these guys have had have been absolutely awesome. Yes, we know there was a couple of botches in the last match, but it didn't take anything away from the fact that these two guys have got some really good chemistry at the moment. So it's really, really working well. One thing I need to mention as well, I started watching Impact, getting some of the highlights off that. There's one guy out there, if no one has seen this guy work, TJP from Impact Wrestling, one of the most phenomenal athletes I've seen in a long while. So if you can, get onto Impact's highlights from the 19th of this month, and you'll be able to see those on YouTube. And just watch this guy TJP in this tag match. He loses his partner in the match very, very early on to injury, so he's basically 2-on-1, and it's just phenomenal, honestly. I can't do it justice by explaining it, so get that watched on Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, I probably just watched that as well. But
yeah, honestly, really, really good wrestler. I can see that guy, if he's used right, it could be a really good main eventer, either in Impact or any other top organisation as well.
Yeah.
Right then, Gav.
Not much to add to that.
We are on for tonight's topic. So good, we rang it twice. Gav, what's tonight's topic?
Never rang as much as a DQ. Ding, 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 ding. Like it's ever going to stop me hitting each other. We're going, because we're always good at planning these things, instead of going through our own opinions of the top 10 greatest heel turns in pro wrestling history, we're going to go by Bleach Report's one by Aaron Bowler in 2014. So a couple of potential turns missed, but we're going to run down the list from there and see what we agree, what we don't agree with, because we're lazy.
Even the crowd love our laziness, mate. This is awesome. Right, Gab,
just
take
the
us
Orange
down
Cassidy
there.
vibes.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Start off, we've got some honourable mentions. Or dishonourable, possibly, with heel turn.
Yeah, yeah, it depends on your opinion.
Paul Bearer turning on The Undertaker. That was an unexpected one.
Yeah.
If not anything else.
Yeah, that was when, I believe, was that when he sided with Kane?
Quite possibly. He's done it a couple of times, so I'm assuming it'd be that one.
He has, hasn't he? Yeah, I distinctly remember the one where he came down with Kane when Kane's debut, where he obviously broke into the steel cage when Taker was fighting Heartbreak Kid, and he took the steel cage door off, and Paul Bearer was there cheering him on doing it. So, but there has been a couple of occasions, and there was also that really bizarre one, wasn't there, where they'd made up Paul Bearer and the Undertaker, and then the Undertaker just decided to bury him.
Yeah, because he's the Undertaker.
That's it. Yeah, he does what he wants, makes his own rules up. So yeah, that's the first one of the honourable mentions. I think that's a good one. That one, Paul Bearer turning on the Undertaker.
Not really. This one doesn't really excite me, but Batista never has. But Batista turning heel by beating John Cena.
Yes. Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
I think you could see it coming. I think it was going to be an obvious one. You know, they had the Iron Man match as well, didn't they? Where I think it was the Iron Man match where Batista, Cena tied his legs up in the in the ropes, so he couldn't get back up, so he got counted out for that. But there was, yeah, I think Batista turning heel. I think he works better as a heel anyway, Batista, to be honest with you. And let's be brutally honest, who doesn't mind seeing John Cena kick the shit out of? Let's be brutally honest. Do you know what I mean?
I'm surprised you could see him.
Yeah, I'll still never get over that. I just don't get it. Even to this day, you can't see me.
I'm sure he said that you can't see. The whole thing was just literally a piss take from his brother telling him he should do that on screen as a joke one time.
And then it became his catchphrase.
And then it stuck. And now we can't get away from it.
That's it, absolutely.
CM Punk cleans out The Rock on the 1000th edition of Raw. That was a hell of a show, that was.
Yeah. Did you actually manage to catch that one as well?
It's one of the few episodes of Raw I've watched in the last decade, or 2 decades. Can't remember what it was. That was 2000 and...
I think it was 7 years ago. 2013 it was.
Yeah.
2012 stroke 2013. Yeah, because obviously CM Punk was sort of the crowd's favourite, wasn't he, at that time? In terms of being a face, he was obviously more appreciated by the fans than John Cena and anybody else who was a face at that time. And then, he refused to help Cena when he was getting beaten up by for a change, heel turning Big Show.
Oh.
And then
The Rock came Big down. Show on like 10 times this list.
He should be, shouldn't he? But top 10 heel turns, just Big Show.
Top 10 face turns as well.
Yeah. And The Rock came down and tried to fight off Big Show and managed to save Cena, or almost did, before CM Punk laid out the Brahma Bull. A heel turn that nobody saw coming because there was no real build-up to it. But then it did produce a good storyline between The Rock and CM Punk as well.
Yes, I don't know. I can't really class CM Punk as a heel though, because like there's never been a time when he won over.
He was always over.
He never rooted against him, even as a heel. So he never really worked as a heel.
Yeah,
he was just a face that was a bit of an arsehole.
Yeah, obviously, but he'll always be remembered for the legendary pipe bomb. Next one, number 9, Triple H shuts down DX Gav, tell us what happened here. Triple H turning on DX.
I can't actually remember this one happening. It's one of them few that I cannot remember for the life of me.
It was a massive turning point in the Attitude Era, because the Attitude Era, as we all know, was going from strength to strength, week in, week out, and eventually ended up helping WWE dominate WCW. But at this point, China had done Triple H over at the Royal Rumble in 1999, and there was it was basically the main feud was the Corporation, which was the McMahon family, versus DX, which obviously consisted of Triple H and X-Pac, to name a couple. And it was Shane McMahon and X-Pac for the European Championship. Do you remember that belt? The European Championship.
God, that didn't last long.
God. No, it's been in a museum somewhere, that now. And, yeah, Triple H came down, looked like he was going to crack Shane McMahon, and then ended up giving a pedigree to his stablemate, X-Pac, and thus signalling Triple H joining the Corporation in the process.
No, did he have to do that so he could bang the boss's daughter?
I think that was a catalyst for that. Yeah, I think it was a catalyst for that. Again, Triple H, it does divide opinion when I mention this, when I'm talking to mates and like other wrestling fans as well. I never rated him at all. I thought he was one of the dullest in-ring performers ever. I used to hate the fact that this guy could just literally walk into title shots whenever it seemed to suit. No build-up to it. Just walking straight in. I mean, this is the guy who wouldn't even let Sting go over at WrestleMania. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it was pathetic.
Like he needed that. Like he needed that victory. So yeah, it was a sign of things to come, and as we all know, how that ended with Triple H marrying into the McMahon family for real. Number 8, Gav.
Bret Hart going anti-America.
Yeah.
This was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Yeah, this was, to be fair, it wasn't that much before Triple H's turn to go to the Corporation. Yeah, go for it, Gav. Give us a little bit of a rundown about what happened when Bret Hart went anti-America.
Again, going quite far back, so I'm trying my best to remember this actual when it happened. But I've got little bits of it in my head. Like, I do remember him shoving McMahon.
Yes.
But I don't remember really what happened after that. I'm sure it's at the end of a show. And it's just literally, he's pushed him. Okay, that's the end. Bye.
Yeah.
Which happened quite a lot back then.
Obviously, if he'd have... because he started off... Because Vince McMahon at the time was just a commentator, money. He was slowly but surely coming out as the main man running the WWF as it then was. So Bret the Hitman Hart pushed McMahon, shoved him over, and then he went and feuded with some up-and-coming names, if you want to take over from there, Gav.
Yeah, some ringmaster guy, I think he was called.
Stunning Steve.
Yeah. Stunning Steve, when he actually had hair as well.
When he had hair.
Wow, that was a while ago. And
Stunning
The Rock,
Steve Austin.
when he had hair as well.
Yeah, he did, yeah. And I think at that time, Kurt Angle had hair as well. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, it's
damn true.
But to be fair, I suppose if Bret Hart was going to push over Vince McMahon nowadays,
that could well be the outcome.
To be honest.
Although I'm not sure he can really get fired anymore. He doesn't really work for him, but
yeah,
he would
it's
try.
like on a Legends contract or something or other. But now this one.
This is
Phil,
just before my time.
Yeah, Phil, yourself and me discussed this last week when Phil did his topic. So this was Sergeant Slaughter does the same. What the same? Well, Sergeant Slaughter went anti-America. This had a far bigger impact than Canada's Bret Hart doing it. The real reason for that is because at the time it was 1990, and the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, was going on, and it was dividing opinion about America. Should they have gone there? Should they be going to war? What about sympathy for some of the people in Iraq? And then Sergeant Slaughter, the American flag-bearing wrestler, turned heel and became sympathetic with Iraq, and it saw him fight and lose against Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 7. But even though he did eventually go back to being a face and doing some backstage work with WWF, he'll always be remembered for that heel turn because it's massive, isn't it? I suppose if you hit the zeitgeist, something political as a wrestler, and you capture that, fans don't forget, do they?
And that was a time when people actually believed it all being real.
Yeah.
So you'd get all kinds of shit wherever you went.
Massively.
Just to have that little heel turn.
Yeah, point well made there, because that's something where, like anything in life, anything that's entertaining, there are sections of people out there who just don't think that these people go back and have lives at the end of it all. And this guy got some serious flack, did Slaughter. Slaughter did get slaughtered nearly everywhere he went after that. But brave thing to do. I can't see it ever something like that happening again nowadays. I think it's
too much money.
Too much
money to lose.
Absolutely. Number 6, Gav. What happened? Number 6.
The Rock going all corporate. This is when he changed his music for about the 3rd time, when it was just literally The Rock says constantly, and that was about it.
Yeah, The Rock goes corporate, so not to be obviously not to be outdone. Having Triple H going corporate on there, which I think even Stevie Wonder could see was going to happen eventually. The Rock went corporate. He had the crowd in the palm of his hand. He was the most electrifying man in sports entertainment.
Still probably is.
Yeah.
With the current roster included.
Absolutely, yeah, very true. And then Survivor Series 98. Vince McMahon called for the bell as The Rock had Mankind locked in the sharpshooter.
Eerily familiar, that, to a certain heart.
Yeah.
It's almost like they've run out of ideas already.
Yeah, it's not like WWE to do things like that,
Nah.
But they are very good at upcycling. We'll give them that. And so the Rock left SummerSlam Survivor Series 98 as the champion and aligned himself with Vince McMahon. That really set up a lot of his feuds with Mankind as well for the next year or two after that as well. So, but do you know The Rock? And it's true what it says on Bleacher Report as well. The Rock was as good a heel as he was a face, because the guy just knew what to do when he had the mic in his hand.
Yeah, there's not been anyone since that can.
Nah, honestly, he just spoke money, didn't he? He was just absolutely brilliant.
Second to him, I would say, would be Jericho. They're just
Jericho's class.
They know what to do on the mic. They're just the mic men.
Yeah,
but they've also got it in the ring as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, two guys roughly in that same sort of era as well, weren't they? Roughly similar ages as well. Number 5, we are going back in the vault of WWF. Here, Gav. What happened number 5?
Andre the Giant, the man who had about one move, turns on the other man that has about 3 moves, Hulk Hogan.
Which combined is probably still more than what Randy Orton's got. Dig, shots fired, deal with it. Andre the Giant.
Fair shots fired, though, to be fair.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan thought he was going to accept this trophy, and his mate Andre was going to be there to give him a round of applause in Piper's Pit. And then Andre said, actually, I'm not here for that. I'm not here to massage your ego. What I want to do is I just want to take everything from you at WrestleMania 3. And then we know how that panned out with the infamous Hogan Slam, which is the first time that Andre the Giant ever was pinned as well in a match.
And yet again, one of his only moves.
Hogan.
He slammed someone. Something anyone else would get up from nowadays.
Yeah.
Back then, it's I'm dying. Now they get slammed around the ring all fucking night. It's just
that's it. Yeah. Now it's just like a basic. It's like a basic move, isn't it? You play any wrestling game, it's like you've already got that as your default move.
It's like suplexes. Suplexes used to be the shit.
Yeah,
got suplex, you're out. Now you got what? Suplex City, 8 of them, and still kick out.
Just brilliant, isn't it, as well? But whatever you do, Hogan, don't lay your leg on my face and pin us. Oh no.
Oh no. Atomic leg drop.
Yeah, number 4. Not that excited about this one. Stephanie shows no family loyalties. Well, again, I think she could give Big Show a run for the money with the amount of face and heel turns that Stephanie McMahon has done over the past 15 years plus. So this time it was Triple H versus Vinnie Mac. And it was a feud.
Match of the century.
Yeah, and it was a very, very ripped Vinnie Mac fighting Triple H. And Triple H used his customary sledgehammer, which he's never cracked anybody over the head with, I don't think. He's always gone for the gut.
Oh, no, he does. He just has his hand over the edge, the end of it, though. So he just knocks him.
Right.
Which, as anyone knows, that takes away all the impact.
Of course it does. But he didn't want to obviously hit Vinnie Mac too hard because, otherwise he'd be smacking his inheritance in the face. So Stephanie was left crying over Vinnie Mac's body. Many felt that Triple H was about to use the same sledgehammer on his wife as he raised it above her. And then what did Stephanie do? She stunned the world when she broke into laughter and embraced her husband in a shocking move. The best thing about that, and it's true, is Jim Ross's commentary on that one as well.
The Attitude Era.
My God!
Stone Cold!
He's broken in half! Number 3, Gav, I'll let you take the reins on this one. This is a quality, historic heel turn.
This is just before my time as well, but I do remember watching it back. Shawn Michaels turns on Marty Jannetty.
Yes.
Any memories of this one? It's just before.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So this was 1992, so my second year in secondary school, and yeah, all the lads came back.
For the record, I was 5 at the time.
For the record, I wasn't. And all the lads came back into school and were just like, it was like the talking point in class, at break time. Even when we were playing footy, people just couldn't get their heads around it. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, who were the Rockers, a lot could be said about the Rockers for maybe paving the way for the likes of the Hardy Boys, Young Bucks, and various other high-flying young tag teams as well. Definitely. That have developed since then. And Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty popped across to Brutus, the Barber Beefcake's barbershop, and stunned the world and Brutus by sweet chinning Marty Jannetty before picking him up and throwing him like a rag doll through the barbershop window.
How many windows did he go through with that little barbershop set?
It's a lot. Yeah, I mean, his insurance must have been sky high.
I want to pay the excess on that.
No, I mean, if anything, you'd get some more reinforced glass, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? You know,
it would have changed the outcome.
Get that stuff that they use in banks, or like what the Pope's got on his car. You know, them sort of things. And,
do not give WWE any more ideas.
It'll probably happen. And obviously from that, Shawn Michaels went on to have possibly one of, if not the greatest solo career of any wrestler from WWF. Obviously interchanging from heel to face to heel to face. But without that, as it says on Bleacher Report, it's absolutely spot on. Without that moment in the barbershop, Michael's solo career wouldn't have got off anywhere near as memorable had he not have done that. Next one, Gav. This one, do you remember this one?
I do remember this one. I remember being so pissed off. Being what?
I was watching it live as well. Time. Couldn't believe it.
Let's work this one out. How old was I at the time? I was 14. So I believe
WrestleMania
every
17.
fucking second of this being real.
It is, of course. Stone Cold sells his soul.
Another one that goes to the corporation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Gav, WrestleMania 17. What was the match and what was the outcome?
Oh, so long ago. I was half my age now. It was. I can't remember what was the actual match at the time? Was it against
It was Rock. It was
yeah.
Rock, wasn't it, versus Stone Cold for the title. So Stone Cold had been back, hadn't he?
Back with his knee brace at the time.
Yeah, the infamous Rikishi incident, and then after that it was the two biggest faces in the company, The Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania 17. Fantastic match, really good. But Gav, what shocked the world?
Stone Cold doing the unthinkable after years, well, literally 2 years of feuding with Vinnie Mac, who will turn 75 this week.
He did indeed, yeah.
Is it turning? Is it turned or turned? Oh, it's tomorrow, actually.
Tomorrow it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Vinnie Mac turns 75 tomorrow. So back when he was in his early 60s, late 50s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Constant to and fro between McMahon and Austin. Fights that just it won't work today, but it worked back then. And then suddenly he decides to join him.
Yeah. So McMahon comes down with a chair. Austin lays out the Rock, pins him, and then Austin is now in the pocket of McMahon. It is worth pointing out as well. Stone Cold as a heel just didn't work, in my opinion.
It just didn't work. CM Punk, it was a heel, but you didn't take him as a heel. You just took him as a face, being an arsehole.
He was still over as well, wasn't he? Mm. And then obviously that led into the invasion storyline, which we can keep for another day.
That could have been so good.
It could have been so much better.
I still remember the Survivor Series end.
Yeah, that is definitely one for another podcast, classic. Because that had potential, like you said, to be absolutely incredible, that storyline. Last but by no means least, number one, Gav, over to you.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, I believe, as well. Hulk Hogan joining the NWO.
The third man.
Who's the third man? Who's the third man? It can't be Hulk Hogan because he's a baby face. He's the good guy. He's the racist big guy. He's the nice guy.
He's got his own cartoon and everything, and he wants us to say our prayers.
He was in Gremlins.
And get those 28-inch pythons. Do you know what I mean?
And he was in Gremlins as well. He can't be bad guys.
Yeah, he was in Gremlins, man. Yeah.
Gremlins 2. No, actually, I think the second was better than the first. Actually, to be honest, but.
And he was Thunderlips in Rocky as well. Surely not. Surely not. And the match was Bash at the Beach, The Outsiders, Reza Ramon, Scott Hall, and Big Sexy Kev Nash fighting off Sting, Randy Savage, and Lex Luger. Obviously, the latter all being the faces, the Outsiders being the heels. And Hall and Nash have been bigging up this third man for weeks. And then what happened, Gav?
Hogan comes onto the ring doing his usual, I'm going to save the day, and then leg drops Savage.
Leg drop Savage. I mean, wow. Leg drop Savage.
The leg drop of doom.
The leg drop of doom. And then which inspired the finger poke of doom and various other things. Yeah. And at the end of that, Nash, Hogan and Hall stood in the ring, arms aloft, and the New World Order was born, creating one of the greatest stables in wrestling history. The original version of it, definitely. Yeah.
We went over the expanded universe
Yeah, the
42,
multiverse
was it?
NWO.
42 members?
Something like that. It just went on.
Crazy.
I think it's still going on now somewhere. Some dark corner of the world. It's probably still going on, changing the stable.
Oh, probably.
So absolutely fantastic. Anybody listening live or anybody listening after the show's been finished recording, we'd love to get your comments on Facebook, Piledriver Podcast on Facebook, and also on YouTube as well. If we've missed any heel turns out, put on there which ones you think were the best heel turns. Which
no
ones
Big Show comments.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Big Show is excluded from that one because that's just too easy. Also, as well, think about Jake the Snake. He was face and then turned heel. Big Boss Man as well. He had his changes on there, and there's been various other ones as well. Like various tag teams have done it. The Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, heel and face, to name a couple. And Demolition as well, obviously a big tag team.
Quite literally.
Favourite of mine, yeah. Gav, anything else to add on that? Anything that springs to mind while we've been doing this that we've maybe missed out in terms of heel turns?
I think we've covered the main ones. The rest are just... The rest don't have as big impact as this, I'd say. They're just generic heel turns. They didn't have really any kind of repercussions for it. It's just, he's a bad guy now.
Yeah,
and you should root against him. He's a nasty man, and so on. They're boring turns apart from these.
Yeah, these are like, especially the Michaels one. I mean, there were some heel turns that just stay, don't they? It's like if you was around at that time, like every wrestling fan knows. If they're from that era, where they were when Shawn Michaels turned heel, when Hogan turned heel, especially. So there were some really, really big, memorable ones to come out of all that. As anything else to add to that one, Gav?
Not that I can think of. I'll probably think of loads after we finish, because that's how life works.
And it just leaves the crowd to say.
Right, to find a better soundbite for that.
And great choice for this week, Gav.
It wasn't my choice. It was the public's choice.
The public have spoken. On that, the public get a chance to speak as well. So this week we will be putting up a poll on our Facebook page, and we'll be sharing that on our own individual pages as well. This week, next Sunday's choices are going to be
drum roll.
One is going to be drum roll. You can either have the best or worst entrances from any wrestling organisation ever, or next one to that you can have. We can discuss the best and worst wrestling games ever. A friend of mine, Dale Whitelaw, came round last night. And from We Design, and we spoke about getting some Piledriver Podcast t-shirts made up, amongst other things. And one of the games that sort of stood out for him in a really bad way was the TNA game, which was pretty poor. And we also covered, in a not so positive light, and I've yet to play on it, so I can't comment, but I've seen videos. WWE 20, is it, Gav?
2K20,
2K20. Apparently that's meant to be absolutely garbage on that one. So that's going to be next week's choices, guys, okay? And we'll keep that poll running up from tomorrow up until sort of midday Sunday. Which one are you going to vote for? Is it going to be the wrestling video games of all time, good, the bad, and the ugly, or the best and worst entrances that anybody has ever made in any wrestling organisation? Gav, to close the show, what have we got remaining?
We've got the joke of the week, which I'm running short of ideas, so I'm just going to go with Raw Underground. Because that is the biggest joke right now.
Yeah, Raw Underground. Wow. For anybody who's not watched it,
Done.
If you've absolutely waxed out all of your comedy box sets, just
Don't.
just watch it. It's the biggest joke ever of what they've done.
I couldn't care with that sound.
That, I believe, may or may not be a snippet from the socially distanced crowd watching WWE Underground. I can neither confirm nor deny that.
If you ever want to watch fake fighting that's meant to look like it's real fighting in a ring that has no purse or ropes, with Shane McMahon as the referee, then you're gonna love it. If you think that is absolute shit, you're gonna love how bad it is.
It's just like Fight Club and the game Pit Fighter,
but with rules.
Absolutely crap. So it's the same, but just really crap. I mean, of course, underground fighting. When have they ever had referees?
And when has Shane McMahon ever got anything to do with it?
Exactly. Yeah. Absolute garbage. So that's the joke of the week. Gav, anything from the world of wrestling that's caught your attention this week from WWE in terms of any matches that we've had, AEW, Impact, New Japan Wrestling, Ring of Honor, anything like that?
As you said, I just watched the lowlights of Raw and SmackDown now. There's nothing that interests me. AEW though, Brody.
Yes.
Brody, the new champion.
Mr. Brody.
Sorry, yeah, Mr. Brody.
Mr. Brody
Mr.
Lee
to you.
capturing the TNT Championship belt of Cody Rhodes. If no one has seen that yet, normally one-on-one ends up being a match. This was just an absolute squash fest, wasn't it? Brody Lee just took Cody Rhodes to town on this one, and it's great because we're now starting to see the Dark Order in AEW, not be taken as the jokes that they initially were.
If you watch Being the Elite as well, you can't not see him as being a joke, but they've actually got a bit of credit to him now.
Absolutely.
Finally.
They finally got some gold as well. One other thing to mention as well from AEW as well, we had the AEW Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament. Semi-finals were on the 17th of this month. Some absolutely fantastic matches on there as well. I think it's fair to say we've got Diamante and Ivelisse are absolutely brilliant. Really, really good up-and-coming women wrestlers as well. So I expect them to be sort of dominating in the next 12 months because they've been absolutely fantastic since they've... and this is their rookie year as well.
Yeah.
A lot of these women who are coming into AEW, it is their rookie year. And some of the finishing moves that these women have got are brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So try and get the highlights of that if you can, ladies and gents. The AEW Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament semi-final. And, anything that you've missed in terms of Impact. TJP, like I said at the beginning of the show, get on that. And also get on Dynamite as well. Obviously, big build-up to next month's pay-per-view. So tonight, it's SummerSlam. I said tonight, it's SummerSlam. All right, no need to be rude. So SummerSlam's on. It's one of those. It could be an absolute car crash, which we're predicting it to be. Then again, there might be some gold. We will definitely find out more this time tomorrow.
I'm
so
waiting
Gav,
with bated breath.
Yeah, and I'm going to be waiting with bad breath. So, so anything else to add, Gav, before we wrap up?
No. Happy birthday to the Usos, Vinnie Mac, Rocky Johnson, and Pac/Neville this week.
Yes,
that's about all I can add, really.
Good birthday shout. And that concludes this week's Piledriver Podcast. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Please put your comments on there. Please chip in with your 2 pennething as well, with your little bit of bubbly. Put on there your comments about anything that we've discussed on tonight's podcast, and also things that we may have missed out, things that you may want to hear us discuss in the future as well. Gav, it's been awesome. It's been a little quieter without the heartbreak in. But the decibels will be going back up this time next week when he makes his return. Gav, all the best, my friend, and we will be speaking to each other during the week.
And that will do for tonight. See you next week.
See you later, dudes.